Good evening and welcome to the September 23rd, 2025 Council Planning Public Meeting. Members of the public may watch and/or participate in this open meeting using the following methods. Attend in person in the Dumfries room at the North Dumfries Community Complex located at 2958 Greenfield Road, and welcome. You can attend electronically to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda by registering with the clerk's division. You can watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township's YouTube page. The live stream is for viewing only and not for direct participation. And submitting written comments were given to the clerk's office in advance of the meeting and were provided to the mayor and council prior to the meeting and will be part of the public record. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank everyone for joining us this evening. We appreciate your participation as we come together to serve the community. I ask that we create a welcoming and positive environment for everyone that includes respect, that we listen to each other with care, speak thoughtfully and engage kindly with one another, kindness, that we treat everyone, council, staff, and the public with respect and understanding, and inclusion, that we embrace diverse perspectives and respect each other's opinions. Together, we can make this meeting space one where respect, kindness, and inclusion are at the heart of everything we do. Behavior that's disrespectful, aggressive, or intimidating will result in those individuals being asked to leave the meeting. I'd now like to call the meeting to order. Can I have the approval of the agenda, Council Rowland, please?
Moved by myself and by Council Tilly that council adopt the September 23rd, 2025 council planning public meeting agenda as presented with the following addendum. 1. At correspondence received for item 7.11, report number PD 61-2025, proposed zoning bylaw amendment for 2495 Sprague's Road, file number ZC-0225.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. I would now like to do the Indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land on which we gather today as the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. And the Indigenous people want respect. That's all they really want. I was at the Waterloo Airport this weekend, and they had the Indigenous artwork, which is absolutely stunning. And the artists were actually embarrassed and humbled by what they had done. And Chief Hill stood there, the Chief of Six Nations, stood up and said, "This is what reconciliation is. It's understanding that we have something to offer." And when the Air News discovered that Buddy Miracle was the first NHL hockey player, and he was from Air, and he didn't exist until he started playing hockey, and they said, "Where was he?" Well, the family had hid their children so they wouldn't have to go to the residential schools. And so we got the New York, was it Rangers or the New York Rangers, to present the shirts, and they sent them up to us, and they sent us two. And one I presented to Chief Ava Hill at Center Ice, and she held up the shirt and she said, "This is what reconciliation is, acknowledging that we have something to offer and something to contribute. So we don't have to be afraid of reconciliation. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a thing of respect. And that's what we need to do more of, is respect each other." So let's pause and think for a few minutes on that. Reflect. Thank you. Is there any disclosure between our interest to try and reach you? Seeing none, we are going to go into committee of adjustment. Councillor Austin, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Rollman, that council meeting adjourned at 6:04 p.m. to sit as committee of adjustment for the purposes of holding public meetings pursuant to the provisions of the planning.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. I'd now like to call a meeting to order. Can I have approval of the agenda, Councillor Tilly, please?
Moved by myself, second by Derek Oster, that committee adopt the September 23rd, 2025 Committee of Adjustment agenda as presented.
All those in favor? Carrie, thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general interest? Seeing none. Council Roman, the minutes, previous minutes, please.
Moved by myself and by Councilor Ossner that committee approve the committee of adjustment meeting minutes dated August 11th, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thanks. We're now at 6.5, hearing public meeting minor variance and consent application, report number PD 58025, minor variance application for 40 Oakwood Drive, file number A-17/25. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will record all persons who provide comments on this application, and those who register with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or convening of future meetings on the application. There's a sign-in sheet at the back of the meeting room to complete for those who wish future notices in regards to this file. So if you're here for this one, please sign the sign-in sheet at the back so you can be kept up to date. Michael Campos, Manager of Planning, will present this application. Michael, please.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, senior staff, and members of the public. I'm pleased to present a public information report regarding submitted minor variance application for 40 Oakwood Drive, file number A-1725. The purpose of this meeting is to provide an overview of the proposal received, to solicit comments, and to identify issues or matters to be assessed by staff as we move forward with the review of the applications. So the subject property is located on the east side of Oakwood Drive, within the Brown settlement area of the Township of North Dumfries. Property has a total area of approximately 0.16 hectares and provides a frontage of 15.24 meters along Oakwood Drive. The lands are currently developed with a one-story single detached dwelling, a detached garage, and a small storage shed. The property is serviced by municipal water and an individual septic system. Under the township official plan, the property is designated as settlement, residential, and ancillary, rural areas, and protected countryside. And the township zoning bylaws owns the property as Z3 rural residential. The purpose of the proposed minor variance application is to permit the construction of a new one-story detached garage, replacing the existing detached garage currently located on the property. The proposed accessory building is designed with a height of approximately 5.2 meters, a footprint measuring 16.76 by 9.14 meters, and a total floor area of about 153.3 square meters, or roughly 1,162 square feet. For property zone Z3 rural residential, the township zoning bylaw permits a maximum total floor area for accessory buildings equal to 4% of the lot coverage. In this case, the proposed development would result in a combined accessory building floor area of approximately 165.1 square meters, which consists of the existing 11.8 square meter shed and the proposed 153.3 square meter detached garage. This equates to a lot coverage of approximately 11%, rounded to the nearest whole number. Accordingly, a minor variance is required to permit the proposed garage. So to accommodate the proposed construction, the applicant is requesting relief from the following section of the township's general zoning bylaw. Section 8.3.7A of the bylaw permits a maximum floor area of 4% for all accessory buildings located on the property. And the owner is seeking relief from this provision to permit a maximum combined floor area of 11% for all accessory buildings on the lot. And this slide provides photos from a recent visit conducted by planning staff. The photo on the left shows the existing single detached dwelling located at 40 Oakwood Drive. And the photo on the right shows the existing detached garage, which is proposed to be replaced with a new garage building now under consideration. And as noted earlier, the owners are proposing to construct that new garage in the same location as the existing structure. Access to the property will continue from Oakwood Drive, with no changes proposed in this regard. Planning staff have circulated notice of the applications to all property owners within 120 meters of the subject property, and a notice sign has been posted along the frontage of Oakwood Drive. As of the preparation of this report, tonight's committee of adjustment meeting, the township has received 6 letters of support from neighboring property owners. These submissions were provided by the owners of 12 Brown Avenue, 24 Brown Avenue, 38 Oakwood Drive, 39 Oakwood Drive, 41 Oakwood Drive, and 42 Oakwood Drive. Each confirms that the respective property owner has no objection to the application or to the proposed garage. And copies of those letters have been included as attachment 4 to our report. Any correspondence received at this evening's meeting, as well as during the remainder of the review process, will be assessed by staff and addressed within the future recommendation report to. With respect to comments received from the township departments and external agencies, the following feedback has been provided to date, as shown on the screen. The Region of Waterloo, Canada Post, Cranbridge Energy, the Township's Engineering and Public Works Department, and the Grand River Conservation Authority have all advised that they have no objections to the proposed minor variance application. The Township's Engineering and Public Works Department has noted, however, that a grading plan will be required at the building permit stage. And any additional comments received through staff and agency review will be included in a future recommendation report to the committee. At this time, staff is recommending that no decision be made on the merits of the application. Instead, all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process should be returned to staff for further review and consideration as part of the future report to the committee. And that future report will address several key matters, including all comments and correspondence that's received, whether the proposed variance satisfies the four tests under section 45(1) of the Planning Act, and is the variance minor in nature? Is it desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land? Is it in keeping with the general intent and purposes of the official plan? And is it in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Whether the proposal is, in staff's opinion, desirable for the property, and finally, the potential impact of the proposed development on surrounding properties. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Michael. I believe Clinton Archer wishes to speak. Clinton?
Hello, everyone. My name is Clinton Archer. I'm the authorized agent acting on behalf of the property owners, one of which, Perry, I believe, is also with us virtually. I would like to thank town staff and committee members for your time and consideration regarding this application. Big thanks to Michael for the thorough presentation as well. I have nothing further to add at this time, but am available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Perry there?
Yeah, he's just viewing the meeting.
He's just reading, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I meant to say it's just here to view, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Okay, any members of council have a question or comment? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Councillor Austin?
Moved by myself, second by Scott Tilley, that PD report number 58-2025 be received. And that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for consideration in a future report to the committee on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next is 6.5.2, report number PD 63/2025, minor variance application for 1103 Greenfield Road, file number A-18/25. Notice has been given with, in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the clerk's department to request notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There is a sign-in sheet on the table at the back of the meeting room to complete for those that wish to future notice related to this application. My turn to come to us. Michael Compton's, please, the application.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. And I'm pleased to present another public information report for minor variance application A-18/25 for 1103 Greenfield Road. Again, the purpose of this meeting is to provide an overview of the proposal that's been received, to solicit comments, and to identify any issues or matters that is to be assessed by staff as we move forward with a review of the application. So such property is located on the south side of Greenfield Road, east of Sprague's Road and west of West River Road. It provides a lot area of approximately 24 hectares with a corresponding frontage of 251 meters onto Greenfield Road. The property consists of a mix of agricultural fields, wooded areas, and is developed with one single detached dwelling, an accessory building, and a swimming pool. Surrounding the property are agricultural lands as well and wooded areas with an aggregate operation on the northern side of Greenfield Road. Under the Township's General Zoning Bylaw number 68983, the property is zoned Z1 agriculture. The Township's official plan designates the property as rural area and protected countryside. The application before the committee seeks relief from the provisions of the Township's General Zoning Bylaw to permit the construction of a new coach house on the property. The proposed coach house is designed as a one-story detached structure with a gross floor area of 120 square meters and a maximum height of 7 meters. As illustrated on the image before you, it is proposed to be located in front of the existing principal dwelling, separated by a distance of approximately 10 meters, and set back about 207 meters from the front lot line along Greenfield Road. The building is centrally located on the property and well separated from all property boundaries, and access to the new structure will be provided through the existing driveway, which currently serves the principal dwelling. The proposed coach house is designed to include 1 bedroom, a sunroom, 1.5 bathrooms, a laundry room, and an open concept living room and kitchen. The applicant has submitted conceptual drawings shown on this slide, which illustrate a compact bungalow style building that incorporates a blend of modern and traditional architectural features. Also shown on your screen is the proposed floor plan for the bungalow style coach house dwelling. Planning staff conducted a site visit on September 4th, 2025, and this slide shows several photos from that visit. Figure 1 illustrates the entrance to the property, and Figure 2 shows the existing driveway leading to the principal dwelling and the location of the proposed coach house. Figure 3 highlights the area where the coach house is planned to be situated. And these images demonstrate that the proposed coach house will be set back a significant distance from the road and will remain well screened by existing vegetation, ensuring that the dwelling is secluded from the property frontage. To accommodate the proposed construction, the applicant is requesting relief from 4 provisions of the township's general zoning bylaw. First, section 6.40.7 of the bylaw requires that a coach house not exceed 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling, or 110 square meters, whichever is less. The proposed coach house is designed at 120 square meters, or approximately 1,292 square feet. Second, section 6.40.9I requires that on lots greater than 0.4 hectares in area, the maximum permitted height of a coach house is 6.1 meters, or 20 feet. The applicant is proposing a height of 7 meters, or just under 23 feet. The next provision is section 6.40.9 II, which requires that a coach house be located in the rear yard. And in this case, the proposed coach house is to be situated in front of the existing dwelling, which under the bylaw is defined as the established front yard. And finally, section 6.40.15 requires that an unobstructed pathway between 1.2 and 1.5 meters in width be provided between the coach house and the public street. The applicant is seeking relief from this requirement, given the significant distance between the street frontage and the proposed location of the coach house. Planning staff circulated notice of the applications to all property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands, and a notice sign was posted along the Greenfield Road frontage. To date, no public comments have been received. Any submissions provided at this evening's meeting or leading up to a future decision meeting will be addressed through a subsequent staff recommendation report. With respect to agency and department review, comments received from Canada Post, the Fire Department, Engineering and Public Works, and the Region of Waterloo identified no objections or concerns with the application. Planning staff are still awaiting additional comments, and a summary of any further feedback will be included in a future report. So at this time, staff is recommending that no decision on the merits of the planning applications be made, that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration as part of the future recommendation of the committee. And a future recommendation report will consider matters including, but not limited to, all of the comments and correspondence received during the consultation process, as prescribed by section 45(1) of the Planning Act, whether the proposed variances meet the criteria of the 4 tests for minor variance, if the subject proposal, in the opinion of staff, is desirable for the property, and the impact of the proposed development on surrounding properties. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I believe Heather Trim, would you like to speak, Heather? Okay, I have down Ryan Trim. Okay, the next one is Brian Beestra. Would you like to speak, sir? Yes.
Yes, Brian Dietzra, on behalf of my client, Heather Trim. Thank you to the committee for the consideration going into the application as well. Thank you to Michael for the thorough presentation. Pretty much summed up everything that I have to say here. The only thing I would potentially add is the location in question is proposed because it is more sensible of the feasible locations on the property. It's clear, it's flat. It's close to the existing dwelling, which will allow us to tie into the existing septic system, which will minimize excavation and the need for a secondary septic system. Michael had mentioned, it allows us to use access off of the existing driveway as well. So that's where there's a number of factors that lead to that kind of the key spot on the rather large property.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public that wish to comment or ask questions? Seeing none, councillors, any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, councillor Timmins?
Moved by myself, second by Robert Roman, that report to the PD 63-2025 be received and that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for consideration and a future report to the committee on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Thank you. Next, report mechanism, minor variance, it's my turn tonight. Minor variance and consent applications, 6.6.1, report number PD 57/2025, minor variance application for 2132 Greenfield Road, file number A0625. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the Clerk's Department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign sheet at the back table of the meeting room, and you can sign there and complete it so that you can be contacted. Christina Glasgow, Planner 1 GIS Technician, will present this application. Christina, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentations for minor variance application A06/25 for the property located at 2132 Greenfield Road. The purpose of this meeting is to advance a recommendation for the committee's consideration of the merits of the application. This application was the subject of a public meeting held on May 27th, 2025. The property is located on the north side of Greenfield Road, east of the intersection of Greenfield Road and Weedsville Road. The property consists of a single detached dwelling, garden suite, and accessory buildings. The property is approximately 70.8 hectares in size with a lot frontage of 402 meters onto Greenfield Road, and surrounding land uses are agricultural. The property is zoned Z1 agriculture with site-specific zoning exemption 20.1.219 and designated agricultural township official plan. As mentioned on the previous slide, the property has a site-specific exemption that was established as a temporary use. This exemption permitted a garden suite for a period of 10 years. The temporary use bylaw has since expired and the owners are seeking to recognize the second dwelling unit as a coach house in accordance with the current zoning provisions. This would allow the unit to remain on the property permanently as permitted use. While the owner is seeking to convert the existing garden suite to a permanent coach house, the unit does not meet all of the applicable regulations for coach houses under the township zoning bylaw. The principal dwelling unit on the property has a building footprint of approximately 217.4 square meters, which results in a maximum permitted coach house size of 87 square meters. The existing unit exceeds this threshold, and as a result, minor variance is required to permit the conversion and recognize the existing unit on a permanent basis. The following minor variances are being requested. Section 6.40.7 with a maximum coach house size of 40%. Of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit, the owner seeks relief from this permission to bring a maximum size of 57%. And secondly, section 6.40.8 II establishes that a coach house may not be located closer to the street line than the front wall of the principal dwelling. The owner seeks relief from this permission to permit the coach house to be located closer to the street than the principal dwelling. One comment was received at the public meeting from the adjacent property owner who expressed support for the application and raised no concerns. The fire department has requested confirmation that smoke and carbon monoxide alarms are installed and functioning. The owner is currently working with the fire department to address this comment, and flight staff have included this as a condition of approval. Planning staff is of the opinion that the requested variances meet the four tests of a minor variance as outlined by the Planning Act. The first being that the variance is minor in nature. The increased size is minor for the coach house, and the property is large enough to accommodate the coach house without adverse impacts. Secondly, that the variance is desirable. The application allows the existing garden suite to be recognized as a permanent coach house and maintains a rural and agricultural character. Third, that the variance meets the intent of the bylaw. Coach house remains subordinate to the principal dwelling, and while the coach house is located closer to the street line, neither the dwelling or coach house are visible from the road frontage. And lastly, that the variance meets the intent of the official plan. The proposal supports a permitted rural residential The proposal supports a permitted rural residential use on a large agricultural lot without removing land of production or affecting the rural character. Planning staff recommend that minor variance application 806/25 be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. Is there any members of the public that wish to comment on this? Any question, councillors? Councillor Rose, the motion, please.
Moved by myself, seconded by Derek Osner, the PD report number 57-2025 received. For that minor variance application A-06/25 being a request to permit a coach house with a maximum size of 57% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit, whereas section 6.40.7 of the general zoning bylaw 689-83 permits a maximum coach house size of 40% of the footprint of the principal dwelling unit. A coach house to be located closer to the street line than the principal dwelling, whereas section 6.40.8 II of the general zoning bylaw 689-83 establishes that a zoning coach house may not be located closer to the street line than the front wall of the principal dwelling. Be approved, subject to the following condition: that confirmation be provided to the satisfaction of the fire department that working smoke and carbon monoxide alarms were installed in accordance with the building code at the time of original construction, and that they remain compliant with the current Ontario Fire Code.
All those in favor? Thank you. 6.6.2, report number PD 59/2025, minor variance application for 6 Nick River Way, filing number A-1125. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The Secretary Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who registered at the purchase to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on the application. There is a sign-in sheet with the facts on the table. Meeting room, if you wish to be notified, related to this file. Broccoli planner, I thought you guys are tag teaming. Senior planner will present this application. Brock, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentation is for minor variance application A-1125 for the property located at 6 Nick River Way in Air. The purpose of this meeting is to advance a recommendation for the committee's consideration on the merits of the minor variance application. The subject property is municipally addressed as 6 Nick River Way in Air, and is situated on the north side of the street, east of Nick River Court and west of Northumberland Street. The subject property has an approximate lot area of 1,000 square meters, with a lot frontage of 18.4 meters onto Nick River Way. Property is developed with an existing single attached dwelling and accessory structure, and the property is serviced by municipal water and sewer. Surrounding land uses consist primarily of low density urban residential development, with the property being zoned C4A urban residential in the township zoning bylaw. The township's official plan, the property is located within the urban area and is designated as built up area. The owner is proposing a building addition to the existing single attached dwelling. Specifically, the owner is proposing an addition that would increase floor space on both the first and second stories of the dwelling. This addition will result in both the east and west elevations of the dwelling east and west elevations of the dwelling being 2 stories in height following the addition, whereas currently only the east side is 2 stories in height. Additionally, a new covered porch entrance is being proposed along the west facing elevation of the house. As the west facing side of the dwelling would transition from 1 story to 2 stories, the expanded house must now comply with the 2.4 meter side yard setback requirement for 2-story dwellings. The proposed covered porch within this side yard also requires relief from the setback requirement. To facilitate the proposed addition, the owner requests for relief from the zoning bylaw to allow for reduced interior side yard setback. Specifically, the owner is requesting the following minor variance. Section 8.3.3B of General Zoning Bylaw 68983 establishes that the minimum side yard setback for a 2-story dwelling shall be 2.4 meters. The applicant is seeking relief to permit a reduced side yard setback of 2.3 meters from the west facing wall of the dwelling and 1.2 meters from the proposed covered porch, which is located within the same side yard. On the top left of this slide, you can see a view of the subject property from Nick River Way.
The photo on the top right provides a view of the west facing side of the existing dwelling. And the photo on the bottom portion of the slide provides an additional view of the west facing side of the dwelling. The proposed addition and covered porch will be located on this side of the dwelling. Further to the last slide, this slide shows proposed elevations that were submitted by the property owner. From the front, west side, and rear perspectives, the pattern or shaded areas you see on these drawings represent the new proposed addition to the dwelling. Conversely, the white unpatterned portions of the elevations delineate the areas of the existing structure that will be retained. There's been no correspondence received from any members of the public relating to this application. For agency correspondence, the fire department, Regional Waterloo, GRCA, and Grand Ridge Energy have all stated they have no objections to the application. The township's engineering and public works department has no objections. However, they have noted that an updated grading plan will be required at the building permit stage to reflect the proposed expanded dwelling. And the Waterloo Region Catholic School Board noted that education development charges will be collected prior to building permit issuance. Planning staff are of the opinion that the requested proposal meets the four tests of a minor variance as outlined by the Planning Act. Looking at why it's minor in nature, the request side yard setback reduction is 0.1 meters away from meeting 2.4 meter requirement from the main wall, and the covered porch encroachment is slightly more substantial at 1.2 meters. However, the porch is open, unenclosed, and will only provide architectural relief rather than floor area. Staff are satisfied that the proposed reductions will not result in any adverse impacts for drainage, privacy, or access, and therefore we consider it to be minor in nature. In terms of whether the variance is appropriate for the use of land, we believe that it will improve the functionality of the dwelling by providing additional interior living space, in addition to the covered porch providing additional weather protection opportunities. The proposed reduced setback once again provides sufficient space for maintenance and access, and therefore we do not have any issues with the proposal not being appropriate for the use of land. Whether the variance maintains the intent of the zoning bylaw, the intent of the side yard setback requirement is to ensure adequate space is provided between buildings for access, maintenance, drainage, and privacy. With the provided setback, it is staff's opinion that the adequate separation will be maintained. Additionally, proposal complies with all the provisions of the zoning bylaw. And whether it maintains the intent of the official plan, the urban residential and ancillary designation permits residential uses and encourages an appropriate range and mix of housing types and sizes. In addition, will allow the homeowner to expand an existing dwelling within the built-up area, which is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. Therefore, we believe that it fits the general intent of the official plan. Based on our completed analysis, planning staff recommend that PD report number 59/2025 be received, and that minor variance application A1125 for 6 River Way be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Is there any member of, is the applicant wish to make any statement? Any member of the public wish to say anything? Any questions from council? Can I have the motion, please, Council Terry?
Moved by myself, second by Rob Roman, that PD report number 59/2025 be received, and that minor variance application A-11/25 be being a request to permit of a reduced side yard setback of 2.3 meters from the west facing wall of the principal dwelling and 1.2 meters from the proposed covered porch within the same side yard, whereas section 8.3.3B of the township's general bylaw general zoning bylaw number 689-83 requires a minimum interior side yard setback of 2.4 meters for a 2-story building. Be approved.
All those in favor? Very good. Next is 6.6.3, report number PD 60/2025 minor variance application for 5 Down Ave, file number A-1225. Notice that been given in accordance with the Planning Act, the Secretary of Treasurer will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who registered with the clerk's department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign-in sheet on the back table of the meeting room to complete for those who wish further notice related to this file. Bob Lanquatter, senior planner, will present this application. Bob, please.
Thank you again, Mayor. Following presentation is for minor variance application A 1225 for the property located at 5 Brown Avenue. Purpose of this meeting is to also advance a recommendation of the committee's consideration on the merits of the minor variance application. Subject property is municipally addressed as 5 Brown Avenue and is located on the east side of Brown Avenue, south of the intersection of Brown Ave and Roseville Road within the Brownsville settlement area. Property has an approximate lot area of 1,534 square meters with a corresponding lot frontage of 27.4 meters onto Brown Avenue. Property is developed with an existing single detached dwelling, private servicing, and 2 accessory structures. The subject property is zoned Z3 rural residential in the township zoning bylaw, and in the township's official plan, it's located within the Brownsville settlement area and is designated settlement residential and ancillary. The slide shows 2 different views of the front of the existing dwelling at 5 Brown Ave, with the photos taken from Brown Avenue.
Was that an error on the slide there? Bob, it said.
Yes, Mayor, that's 3,
Yeah.
that is an error, sorry about that.
But here's the house, right?
That is the house at 5 Brown, that's the wrong title.
Thank you so much.
The owner is proposing an addition to the existing single detached dwelling, which involves increasing floor space and expanding the size and depth of the existing attached garage to accommodate a barrier-free vehicle. The property's owner's desire for this addition stems from the need to improve accessibility and rehabilitation requirements for the dwelling, creating a supportive living environment. To accommodate the planned alterations, the applicant is seeking relief from subsections of the township zoning bylaw. These variances relate to a reduction to the permitted building line setback for the proposed expanded dwelling, an increase in allowable roof overhang projection into the required side yard, relief relating to the total floor area permissions for accessory structures, and allowing for the location of frame shed within the required side yard. On this slide, you can see a conceptual rendering of the house post addition, which shows how the single detached dwelling is intended to look, following the proposed building alterations when viewed from the front property. This slide shows the existing and proposed elevations for the property, the views of the dwelling from the front and rear. Originally, the following 3 variances shown on this slide were requested and identified at the public meeting stage, with these being that section 6.5.1 of the zoning bylaw established that no building or structure can be located between the street line and any building line established by the zoning bylaw. The owner seeks relief from the provision to permit for a portion of the expanded dwelling to be located between the street line and the established building line. Section 6.5.3 establishes that architectural features such as roof overhangs or eaves can project up to a maximum of 0.3 meters in any required side yard. The owner seeks relief from this provision to permit for a proposed roof overhang that would project 0.7 meters into the required side yard. Section 6.10.6 establishes that the minimum building line requirement for the property is 10.83 meters, and the owner seeks relief from this provision to permit a building line or front yard setback of 9.6 meters from Brown Avenue. During staff's continued review of the application and existing conditions on the property following the initial public meeting, staff noted that additional variances would be needed to be added as a housekeeping measure to regularize the site. Specifically, a frame shed with an approximate floor area of 7.8 square meters has been identified on a subject property within a required side yard setback, which is not a permitted location for this structure through zoning as of right. Additionally, a minor variance application from 1990, file number A1890, allowed the property owners at the time to increase the maximum permitted total floor area for accessory buildings to 104.9 square meters, whereas the maximum permitted total area at the time for accessory buildings was 4% of the lot area or 61.3 square meters. The addition of a 7.8 square meter frame shed results in the total accessory building floor area being approximately 112.7 square meters, which is not compliant with the previously approved variance. As such, relief is being requested to reflect the current total accessory building floor area of 112.7 square meters, which encompasses both accessory buildings existing on property, totaling 7.4% of the total lot area. Specifically, in addition to the 3 variances previously identified at the public meeting stage, additional relief is now being sought for the following 4 sections of the zoning bylaws to recognize the existence of the frame shed on the lot. Specifically, section 8.3.7A establishes that the total permitted floor area for accessory buildings in a zone 3 lot shall be a maximum of 4% of the total lot area, or 61.3 square meters. The owner in 1990 an approved minor variance application under a previous owner, file number 1890, allowed for an increased accessory building floor area of 104.9 square meters to permit for the construction of an accessory building. It's been determined that since that time, frame shed was added that has an approximate floor area of 7.8 square meters, resulting in non-compliance with the previously approved minor variance, and as such, additional relief is now being sought to permit an additional 7.8 square meters of accessory building floor area. Section 6.4.1 establishes that no accessory building shall be located closer than 1 meter from any interior side lot line. Relief is being requested to permit for the frame shed to be located within 0.4 meters of the interior side lot line. Section 6.4.2 establishes that no accessory building shall be located within a required side yard. Relief is being requested to permit for the frame shed to be located within this required side yard. And section 6.5.2 similarly establishes that no accessory building shall be located closer than 1 meter from any entire interior side lot line. And relief is being requested to permit for the existing accessory building or frame shed to be 0.4 meters from the interior side wall. There has been no public correspondence received for this application. In regards to agency correspondence, the Township's Fire Department, Engineering and Public Works Department, Region of Waterloo, GRCA, and Canada Post have all stated they have no comments or objections. Grandbridge Energy has no objections, however, they did provide a comment reminding the applicant to call for locates prior to beginning construction. The Waterloo Region Catholic School Board also noted that the education development charges will be collected prior to building permit issuance. The Township's Building Department had provided comments on the proposal during the public meeting stage, noting that the original septic system was designed for a 2-bedroom, 19-fixture dwelling, and that the proposed increase in fixtures in bedrooms requires a recommendation from a septic professional, confirming that there's adequate space to accommodate the proposed building expansion. This additionally is a submitted grading plan or topo survey. It did not reflect the proposed construction, and an updated plan was requested to show the proposed construction and how overland flow will be managed. The township also has no record of building permit for changes to the deck or addition of a swim spa, and it has been noted that permits will be required for both. The permit submission for the new work must also include confirmation that the deck is freestanding and that it will not be impacted removal or replacement of the foundation. And also that a minor variance approved in 1990 permitted for an increase to accessory structure total floor area, and that this should be addressed through this minor variance or by removing the shed. The applicant has been in communication with planning and building department staff to address these comments that were brought up at the public meeting stage. Planning staff are satisfied the applicant has satisfactorily addressed agency comments at this time, with future confirmation on certain items to be provided at the building permit stage relating to permits, septic, and grading. Specifically relating to the shed compliance comment. This is now being addressed through this public meeting to regularize the frame shed by requesting a new combined accessory area of 112.7 meters squared, and to permit the shed to be located within a required side yard with a distance of 0.4 meters from the side lot line. Regarding septic verification, the building department has confirmed that septic verification, condition, and location, as well as any required updates to bring the septic into conformity, will be required to be addressed and approved prior to building permit issuance, but will not affect this variance specifically. The grading and drainage, our engineering and public works department has confirmed that the required grading plan can be submitted at the building permit stage as well. And in terms of the building permits for the deck and swim spa, retroactive permits will be applied for and processed with the permit submission for the dwelling addition, and structural details for post deck overhang will be provided at this time as well. Planning staff are therefore of the opinion that the requested variances meet the four tests of a minor variance. Whether the variance is minor in nature, the reduced front yard setback and projection maintain a consistent streetscape and create no impacts on access, drainage, or privacy. And the increase in total accessory floor area and recognition of the shed's location simply recognizes existing conditions with negligible offsite effects from recognizing this. Therefore, we consider it to be minor in nature. In terms of whether it's desirable for the use of the land, we believe that it maintains compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood and no adverse impacts were identified through agency and public circulation. And any technical comments will be addressed at the building permit stage. In terms of the intent and of the zoning bylaw, the intent of setbacks and projections is to ensure separation for access and maintenance, drainage and privacy, and the dwelling maintains adequate side yard function with the eave being non-habitable. Regularizing the shed with maintains clarity and enforceability of the bylaw, and therefore we believe it follows the general intent of such. And in terms of following the intent of the official plan, the addition supports housing functionality and accessibility in a rural settlement area, consistent with low density residential policies. And therefore staff are of the opinion that the proposed development follows the general intent of the official plan. Based on the completed planning analysis, planning staff recommend at this time that PD report number 60 to 2025 be received and that minor variance application A1225 for 5 Brown Avenue be approved.
Thank you, Bob. Now, it's I believe we have Sarah and Aaron here to answer any questions, but we don't have any questions yet. Any member of the public wish to speak? Any questions from council? Councilor Roman gets the longest motion tonight. Go ahead, Councilor Roman.
Here. Madam Mayor, moved by myself, second by Councilor Wilms, that P report number 60-2025 be received and that minor variance application A1225 be requested to A, permit a portion of the expanded dwelling to be located between the street line and the established building line, whereas section 6.5.1 of general zoning bylaw 689-83 prohibits any building or structure from being located between the street line and any building line established by the bylaw. B, permit a roof overhang or eave to project 0.7 meters into the side yard, whereas section 6.5.3 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 permits architectural features to project a maximum of 0.3 meters into any required side yard. C, permit a reduced building line front yard setback of 9.6 meters or 31.5 feet from Brown Avenue for the proposed expanded building, whereas section 6.10.6 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 establishes a minimum building line requirement of 10.83 meters in this context. D, permit a combined accessory building floor area of approximately 112.7 meters squared or 7.4% of lot area, recognizing the existing 104.9 meters squared building approved by minor variance A-18-90, plus the 7.8 meter square frame shed, whereas section 8.3.7A of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 limits total accessory building floor area on the zone 3 lot to 4% of lot area or 61.3 meters squared. E, permits an accessory building or frame shed to be located within a required side yard, whereas section 6.4.1 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 prohibits accessory buildings within required side yards. F, permits an accessory building frame shed to be located 0.4 meters on the north facing interior side lot line, where section 6.4.2 of the zoning bylaw requires accessory buildings to be at least 1 meter from an interior side lot line. And G, permit accessory building frame shed to be located within the required side yard, notwithstanding the prohibited obstructions provision, whereas section 6.5.2 of general zoning bylaw number 689-83 prohibits any building or structure within a required side yard be approved.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Councilor Oscar, can you change the adjustment, please?
Moved by myself, second by Roger Ullman, that pursuant to the Planning Act, the public meeting of the Committee of Adjustment be adjourned at 6:49 p.m.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have the public meeting and hearings, under the Planning Act 7.1.1, report number PD 6/1/2025, the full zoning bylaw amendment for 2495 Sprague's Road, file number ZC 0225. Notice has been given in accordance with the Planning Act. The clerk will keep a record of all persons who provide comments on this application and those who register with the clerk's department to request a notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There's a sign-in sheet at the back table of the meeting room to complete for those who wish future notice related to this part. Lachlan Planner, Senior Planner, will present this application. Bob, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The following presentation has been prepared to share the details regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, ZC 0225 for the property located at 2495 Sprague's Road, with the purpose of this meeting being to provide an overview of the proposal, to solicit comments and identify issues or matters to be addressed by staff. The subject property, municipally addressed as 2495 Sprague's Road, is located on the east side of Sprague's Road, north of the intersection of Sprague's and Grand Waterloo Roads in the Parker Rural Settlement area of North Dumfries. Property is approximately 8850 square meters or 2.8 acres in size, with a corresponding lot frontage of 72.7 meters onto Sprague's Road. The property contains a storage business known as Just Storage, where they contain rental lockers that can be storage lockers that can be rented out. Surrounding land uses are primarily residential and agricultural. The property is served by a private septic system and a shared well with the adjacent property to the south at 20.5 Sprague Road. Subject property is currently zoned Z2 rural residential with site-specific exemption 20.1.206 in the general zoning bylaw 68983, which permits for a self-storage facility on the property as a permitted use within an approved area of operation, along with site-specific setback requirements. In the township's official plan, the property is located in the Parker Rural Settlement area and is designated urban residential and auxiliary. The property is also subject to official plan special policy area 2.9.2.16.4, which allows for the operation of the self-storage facility, subject to a max gross floor area of 1858 square meters or 20,000 square feet, and appropriate site plan approval. Photos on this slide show two different viewpoints of the subject property from Sprague's Road, with the location of the existing building being highlighted on the left image. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment application seeks to amend the existing site-specific zoning provisions that apply to 2495 Sprague's Road through exemption 20.1.206 to permit for the expansion of the existing self-storage business. The proposal includes the construction of 5 additional single-story storage buildings, in addition to a new outdoor storage area for trailers and boats. A new stormwater management pond and internal driveway network are proposed to service the development. To facilitate the proposed expansion, the applicant is specifically requesting the following amendments to the site-specific zoning exemption, namely to permit outdoor storage as an accessory use to the existing self-storage use, expand the approved area of operation to reflect current property boundaries and to accommodate additional storage buildings areas, and reduce the minimum required building setbacks associated with the operation, specifically for the front yard or building line setback, changing the requirement from the existing requirement of 45 meters to 15 meters, and for the side yard setback requirement from the existing requirement of 11.6 meters to 9.6 meters. On this slide, you can see the proposed site plan, which has been submitted by the applicant. Building number 1 on the right side of the plan represents the existing structure, while buildings 2 through 6 on the plan represent the proposed storage unit buildings being brought forward with this proposal. The proposed outdoor storage area is shown in the top right of the site plan or northeast side of the property. And the proposed stormwater management area is identified at the front portion of the property along Sprague's Road. On this slide, you can see examples submitted by the applicant in their plan justification report, illustrating the look and aesthetic of the proposed self-storage buildings once completed. Detailed site and streetscape renderings will be required at the site plan approval stage, so these are just examples at this time. On this slide, I've highlighted some key planning policies that are relevant to this proposal. In the provincial policy statement, specifically section 2.5.2, where it says that in rural areas, rural settlement areas shall be the focus of growth and development, with their vitality and regeneration being promoted. When directing development in rural settlement areas, in accordance with policy 2.3, planning authority shall give consideration to appropriate rural characteristics, including the scale of development and the provision of appropriate service levels, with that section 2.5.3 of the PPS. And sensitive land uses shall be planned and developed to avoid, minimize and mitigate any potential adverse effects from odor, noise, and other contaminants that may pose risk to public health or safety, as well as ensuring the long-term economic viability of major facilities. And that's section 3.5.2 of the PPS. Moving on to township, the Township of North Dumfries official plan, special policy area 2.9.2.16.4. I've already mentioned that, but it's the site-specific official plan policy area associated with this property. Section 2.9.1.4 states that the township may approve development proposals within rural settlement areas and rural employment areas, provided that that it can be appropriately serviced by private well and treatment systems, compatible with surrounding land uses and farming function, and whether the development proposal conforms to other applicable policies of this plan. Looking at public correspondence, we have received two pieces of correspondence from one nearby landowner. The key concerns noted by the nearby landowner include a request to reduce, or a note that reducing setbacks will bring buildings closer to adjacent farmland, potentially casting shade onto these lands and reducing crop yields. The letter also states that the existing setback should be maintained to avoid loss of productivity. The resident notes that the region previously denied farm laneway access due to safety on Sprague's Road. Increased traffic from trailers or RVs may exacerbate safety risks, and the intersection of Sprague's Road and Glen Morris Road already experiences collisions. The outdoor storage of vehicles may lead to oil, fuel, and fluid leaks, potentially contaminating soils, groundwater, and surface drainage systems. With the proximity to nearby farmland having this concern. The objection letter also states that current and former owners have stored shipping containers outdoors, contrary to the permissions of the existing site-specific zoning, and therefore granting an approval may appear to reward non-compliance. Further, the rural residential zoning and surrounding farms are not compatible with the industrial style outdoor storage being proposed. And the letter argues that such uses should be located on properly zoned industrial lands rather than site-specific amendments. And lastly, high intensity outdoor lighting from shipping containers noted on the property have caused intrusion onto privacy with loss of rural dark sky environment and unsightly industrial character. These concerns are currently being reviewed in detail by staff, and the applicants will be required to sufficiently address these comments prior to a decision being made on the merits of the application. Looking at agency correspondence, the Township's Fire Department, where firstly, the following agencies have stated they have no objections or concerns to the application, including the Township's Engineering and Public Works Department, the Grand River Conservation Authority, and Canada Post. The Fire Department has no comments on the zoning bylaw amendment, but for the future site plan application, comments will apply regarding that the site plan will need to comply with the Ontario Building Code sections 3.1, 3.10, and 3.2.5 relating to fire access routes and water supply. A fire draft connection must be located on the fire department access route, and water supply calculation be required, as well as a Chubb key box being recommended. The Waterloo Catholic School Board has noted that education charges will be collected prior to building permit issuance. And Grandbridge Energy has stated they have no concerns, but do note that hydro poles, guy wires, pad man equipment must be kept 1.5 meters from the driveway entrances and curbs, and that any relocation will be at the owner's expense, as well as any plantings near electrical equipment must comply with ESA and GBE clearance requirements. RJ Burnside, the Township's external engineering review consultant, has noted that while some engineering concerns exist, that they are irresolvable, and as such, they don't oppose the zoning amendment. However, these engineering concerns include the adequacy of the existing servicing arrangement, which is the shared well with the property to the south. With Burnside recommending that the owner consider drilling a new well. Additionally, there appears to be inconsistency between the claim of no stormwater facilities and the 2012 approved site plan showing a retention area. RG Burnside recommends that new stormwater pond replace any lost function and that the drainage boundary be investigated further. And that AODA compliant parking spaces should be provided as well as landscape screening for the outdoor storage area. As an additional note, RG Burnside is still reviewing the stationary noise study, which was submitted with the application. With this review not yet completed, staff will still need to complete a detailed review of the feedback and comments from RG Burnside, as well as share these comments with the applicant to have any items addressed as applicable. The Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council has commented, stating that the site lies within traditional treaty lands and requests consultation and accommodation for infringement on these treaty rights. They also requested 10-to-1 tree replacement ratio for all trees removed and a 1-to-1 replacement for dead trees or snags, stating that native species should be used and planting should occur on site or nearby, and that off-site plantings are encouraged if on-site planting isn't feasible. They also request that lighting be bird friendly and directed away from natural areas. Lastly, the region of Waterloo has noted that they have no objections to the proposed ZBA, but we do make note of the following: that a regional access permit will be required for the entrance to Sprague's Road and a replacement of the culvert with a 450 millimeter HDPE pipe. Future site plan must also include detailed lot grading. Future site plan submission must include detailed lot grading, stormwater management, and servicing information, including confirmation of storm sewer sufficiency or alternative outlets. As such, a future site plan application will include the items noted on the screen, and that any future development is subject to the regional development charge bylaw. The recommendation of staff to council is that all comments and correspondence received from members of the public and government agencies through the consultation process be returned to staff for a future report to council on the disposition of this matter. Staff, in consideration of a future report on the merits of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, will be considering matters including, but not limited to, all comments received during the public consultation process, the effect of the proposed development on matters of provincial interest, such as promoting efficient development, land use patterns, and appropriate rural economic activity, protecting natural heritage, water resources, and surrounding agricultural lands, and supporting orderly growth in rural settlement areas, as well as ensuring that any proposed development can be adequately serviced by private water and septic. Further, a detailed review of planning justification report is still ongoing, as well as the draft amending bylaw and supporting technical studies. In addition to the noise assessment currently being reviewed by RG Burnside, with comments outstanding. Whether development conforms to the provincial planning statement 2024 and township plan, particularly special policy area 2.9.2.16.4 policies and policies for settlement areas. Whether the amendment maintains the general intent of general zoning bylaw 68983, including ensuring that appropriate site-specific provisions are being provided for setbacks, etc., and the adequacy of permitting outdoor storage as a permitted accessory use. Impacts on surrounding rural residential and agricultural properties, including compatibility of the outdoor storage, visual appearance, shade impacts, noise, lighting, and overall fit within the rural landscape. And lastly, adequacy of servicing, including shared well and current septic system of the lot, and stormwater management measures in compliance with the AODA parking and access requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Does the applicant or the applicant's agent wish to comment on this application?
Good evening, Mr. Wellness, members of council. As noted, I'm Steve Jefferson, K Smart Associates. We are the planning consultants and civil engineering consultants for this application. The mayor is familiar with this property as the original applications for the self-storage use were considered by council today almost 25 years ago.
Personally, my involvement with this property goes back to 1997-98. At a time when the then owner, Mr. Van der Zanden, lived in the house and had a metal fabricating shop in the building where the self-storage business is located. He severed the buildings from the farm property and built himself a nice house at the back of his property at that time. The property was then bought by Mr. Leggett, who applied for the self-storage business. And so I processed the applications at that time and was the author of the regulations that are in the zoning bylaw in terms of the setbacks and area of operation. One of the, I guess, key items for the setback from the regional road is that there was a historic electrical easement originally in favor of Ontario Hydro that was then taken over by Cambridge North Dumfries Hydro and all of its successor companies along the way. Our client did retain Richard Law, Jim Richard, and he has successfully obtained a release of that right-of-way from Grand Bridge Hydro. So that allows us to propose the storage units of building 2 that was shown on the site plan closer to the regional road now that that has been removed as a restriction on the property. Mr. Leggett then sold the property to Mr. Smith, and he proceeded to apply to the township for a site plan to construct up to the permitted 20,000 square feet gross floor area of buildings on the property. That was around 2012. Again, I processed that site plan application, and K-Smart Engineering also was involved at that time. So we were familiar with the details of the plan and the engineering stormwater management site servicing that was done at that time. Mr. Smith did not proceed with construction at that time. He then went on and proceeded to apply for severance from the township, splitting his property in half to separate his home from the business part of it. So the existing self-storage building and the barn were one parcel and his house was separate. A few years later, he decided that he wanted to have the barn as part of his personal holdings. So I was involved on his behalf applying for a lot line adjustment to bring the barn back to the same property where his residence is now. So then Mr. Smith proceeded to put self-storage business up for sale, which was then purchased by my current clients, Jeff Hole and Jeremy Hole. They are listed as, the ownership is under a numbered company at this time. They are also owners of Sheer Metal Products in Cambridge. And these self-storage units are one of the items that they do manufacture. So their intent is to manufacture these items locally to locate on this property. Going through the pre-consultation process, a number of studies were identified and they have been completed as part of the supporting documents with this package. And there had been comments made about stormwater management, site servicing. There is a shared well that is recognized on the deeds for the property. The existing septic system was originally designed for the metal fabricating business years ago. With the evolution of self-storage businesses, this new arrangement will be a secure facility, completely fenced with lockable gates. Anyone who wishes to rent storage space, they'll generally, most cases will go online, book their own space, and get an access code so they can go on their own time within operating hours. Punch in the code, access the property, go to their storage unit, and drop things off or pick things up, and then leave again. So there's no need for full-time staff on the property. There should be no need for the septic system to be enlarged due to the minimal nature of any customers being on the property. As mentioned, there is site-specific policies in the township official plan that does permit this use. So we are not introducing a new use. We are only requesting a revision to the regulations in the zoning bylaw. We are not asking to increase the gross floor area. We're maintaining within that original 20,000 square feet that was approved by council at that time over 20 years ago. With the concept plan that's been included in the package, it was prepared with input from our civil engineers to provide adequate space for the stormwater management and circulation. The plans were also reviewed by Waddell Engineering, who are structural engineers with building code and fire code expertise. So they provided input on the separation of the buildings and the design of the fire routes, so that those specific details would be respected as well. If council does approve this zoning, then we will be coming back with a formal application to revise the existing approved site plan to reflect what we have submitted with this package, and we'll obviously be working with township staff and other government agencies to refine that site plan at the time of the site plan process. We've also reviewed the comments made by one of the neighboring landowners, and we will review that with township staff. Things like the lighting plan, these days with the lighting consultants, they make very incredible 3D drawings, renderings that show the extent of the lighting so that we can get a good idea of what the impact of the lighting would be on the property. There's also a requirement for a landscaping plan, which staff agreed to defer to the site plan stage so that we can provide that as well. We feel confident that the stormwater management can be addressed to respond to both the township engineering and Region of Waterloo. With respect to the noise study, that was completed for the outdoor storage area. That outdoor storage was proposed, as staff mentioned, in the northeast corner, far away from the existing residents on the property to the south. It was interesting, the analysis that the noise engineer completed assumed that the noise being generated will be from trucks delivering and dropping off trailers or boats for 10 to 15 minutes at a time and then leaving. So I feel confident that the peer review by the township engineering should determine that, have the same conclusion as the engineer for our clients, that no criteria would be exceeded and no mitigation for the noise would be required. An archaeological assessment was completed. We have our contacts at Six Nations of the Grant, so I will follow up with them as well to make sure that they have received a copy of that study. There was only one item found during the site investigation by the archaeological consultant, and it was determined that there was no need for a stage 2 investigation at that time. So, I believe, in the interest of time, that covers the main points I wish to cover. So I remain available for any questions that you have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there any member of the public that wishes to say anything? Seeing none, any members of council? Council Williams and Council Taylor and Council Evans.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Sam. So this is currently zoned as rural residential. At what point does the business expand from being a rural residential kind of thing to more of an industrial, meet more industrial criteria? So that's my question.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, that's a good question. I think in cases like this, we definitely have to, through a detailed review of the application, consider whether this can be handled through the existing site-specific amendment or if a greater zone change to an industrial designation would be more appropriate. At this time, I can't advise whether that would be a better choice at this time. Perhaps through additional review of additional studies, we may have more correspondence with the applicant on that and internally.
Councillor Tilly.
Sorry.
Oh, Councillor Boston, yeah, I thought you had to.
I just wanted to.
Okay, Councillor Boston.
He was just showing you where I am.
Oh,
Just general comments with the conditions, and hopefully they can design this that keeps the neighbors happy. There's different ways you can do it. I noticed on, I'm gonna say, the west side along the driveway, there's a lot of mature trees that kind of block there. Maybe they can put them across there so that the neighbors don't see these metal boxes constantly. They're gonna fabricate metal units, you said. They're gonna fabricate these units?
They will be manufactured in Cambridge at their facility. This is just, they'll just be installed at this site.
Yeah. So hopefully, you guys can work with staff to kind of mitigate the any sort of eyesore coming across the street, which will also, if there's trees there, that'll block some of the noise as well. I know with storage units, it's vehicles going in and out, and And just to verify, there's going to be like an open business time, like they can't come at 1 o'clock in the morning and drop their boat off.
Through you, Mayor Foxton, yes, there would be set hours. There will, in all likelihood, be evening hours. People typically, if they work during the day, but they want to go and drop something off and they're helping someone move that
Not
home
one
in
in
the
the morning.
evening, but it wouldn't be 24 hours a day is my understanding.
Councilwoman.
Madam Mayor, my question to Mr. Jefferson, is there any requirement for any sort of dark sky type of provisions, or is that not really something that we do anymore?
The basic principle as planners, when we are involved with any site plans like this, is that the lighting remain shining on the property and not glare onto any adjacent properties or any adjacent roadways. So that's the starting point. As I mentioned with the 3D renderings that that are available these days, you can see exactly where the glow is going to be. So I will make note of that typically they are shining down, and the modern lights are efficient and much easier to provide that dark sky provision, but I will make note of it.
I do notice that other storage type facilities do have quite a lot of lighting, so I'm just concerned about the amount of lighting that we're going to see in this facility.
I just have one question. Is this the same file you handled when we first did this? Was it 1999, 2000 when we first did it?
Yes, I believe the business started operating in 2003, so it was after the official plan was updated in 1997, and the settlement area was expanded so that the housing business were within the settlement area at that time when that settlement occurred. So,
As I was on council when this first came up.
and if I could just add,
Yes, I was 12 years old.
yeah, Mayor Foxton, if I could just expand very
Yes.
briefly to Councillor Long's comment about the type of use. The debate on whether the self-storage business could locate at this property within the settlement area was discussed and debated by the council of the day. And so we are not having before us tonight the question of whether self-storage business could be located here. The official plan and zoning bylaw do permit that, and it's historically been permitted for over 20 years. So I think I'll have that discussion with staff on the wording of the zoning bylaw, but I think that's recognized as the applicable law on what's permitted in the zone.
Council Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think my question maybe, and should clarify, was with regards to the size. Like, there's a difference between a barn being turned into a storage building versus another 5 or 6 buildings added. So that's where my question is coming from. So I'd like to, I'm very interested in hear what staff has to say.
And to me, I like your point about when does it become a business? Because I mean, one building with the multiple, but again, we'll look into that. See, only thing, did you want to make a comment?
Excuse me, so I just want to make one comment. Mr. Jefferson, House he's had his fingers on this file going back almost 25 years. Gave council the chronology of events. At the time of the original proposal, era 1998-99, residence was part of the property. So that's where the Z2 classification came from. This was ancillary through the site-specific zone classification to allow those additional uses to the rural residential classification. Subsequently, years later, the residents at the back of the property to the east of the building where today's storage occurs, and they're severed from the property. Question really was time of severance should from the property from the zone to recognize it's no longer a residential zone with an exception. It was truly a commercial use. It's still within the settlement area boundary. Perhaps the zone classification should have been modernized to reflect the realities of residents, residential components no longer present. It is something that can be cleaned up in the present period. Mr. Jefferson. Well, the current application is looking at relaxation of certain permissions to allow the outdoor use and multiple buildings within general area was captured from the original bylaw back.
Council Robinson, Council Overman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do know that we have industrial land available for sale in this area, so there is opportunities elsewhere for storage facilities. Like, I just throwing it out. But also, I'd be wondering also what kind of precedent we would be setting if we allow businesses like this, like, to expand to this size in residential areas. So that's just a couple of questions that came to mind. Thank you.
Council Overman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So my question is similar to Councilwoman's comments. I'm just wondering, will the staff be cleaning this up when we do our OP review, or what's the plan? Because I know there's other properties had the same thing happen where they severed off the residents from the commercial operation, farm gate operation. Now we've had commercial enterprise in a rural area or in a settlement area. So I'm wondering what staff's plans are to deal with this in the future.
CEO McCann.
So, Madam Mayor, the answer to that is very, very simple. Well, the bridge policy statement and the official plan allow commercial enterprises in settlement areas. And in fact, it's directed to rural settlement areas and not within the broader rural countryside. This site is within the settlement boundary. The question is the right zone terminology applied given the chronology of events that occurred over 25 years? Principle of an use, and long established, it is allowed within the base official amendment. That's why there's no amendment projects. It is the zoning to reflect the adjustments to the nature of the self-storage operation, and the current zone standards don't align with what the applicant is seeking. That is really the lens is looking at. You know, are the setbacks appropriate? Is the intensity of development supportable on the basis of private services? That's really what the focus is. And then if that principle is established, some regulations are updated and modernized, then it really becomes a site plan issue to deal with. Okay, based on this intensity of development in this context, with this footprint, how does it affect stormwater, landscaping, lighting, site upgrading, and the like? And those are the softer touches to bring to reality the approved permitted uses.
And one final comment is that this was a tough one way back when. This took a long time for us to decide whether this would happen or not. It went on for quite some time. Can I have a motion, please? Oh,
Sorry.
Council Osney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one more comment. Going on with all the details about zoning and whether things are allowed or not, staff's gonna take care of that. Staff's gonna look after that. They're going to do that. I'm only asking that if this moves forward and if this is appropriate development, I want them to consider the neighbors with the noise issues, with the light issues, and with the visual issues, because there's a semi-retirement place across the street. And I can imagine they might be a little panicky about seeing a bunch of metal boxes up there with a steel fence to cover the area. So hopefully we can include, and you guys will be okay with that you're considerate of the neighbors with all aspects, and not just, you know, build what you said you could do 25 years ago. You know, times change, you have to be considerate of your neighbors.
Mayor Parsons.
No, go ahead.
Sorry for the interruption again. Just for council's information, I believe we submitted the current approved site plan at the time of the pre-consultation process. So I'll check with township staff, and in the next report back to council, we can make sure that you can see what was proposed back in 2012. It's a similar number of buildings. It's the same square footage of buildings that was approved by the township in 2012. I just believe that this is giving us an opportunity to upgrade the site plan to reflect the current self-storage industry and to accommodate You can do a lot better landscaping than what, the planner of the day required.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please, Councillor Williams?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that PD report number 61-2025 be received. And that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration in a future report to council on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Seven point one point two, report number BD 62/2025, proposed regional township official plan amendment for 1231 Maple Manor Road, file number OP-02/25. Notice has been given in accordance with the planning act. The clerk will keep a record of all persons who provide comments to this application and those who have registered with the clerk's department to request notice of decision. Those individuals will be notified of the decision or the convening of future meetings on this application. There is a sign-in sheet at the table at the back of the meeting room to complete to those who wish future notice related to this file. Michael Campos, Manager of Planning, will present this application. Michael, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'm pleased to present the final public information report today. For application for an official plan amendment for the property municipally address is 1231 Maple Manor Road. The subject lands are located on the south side of Maple Manor Road, east of Brantford Highway 23 and west of Cheese Factory Road. This property has an overall area of approximately 9.55 hectares with a total frontage of 118.5 meters along Maple Manor Road. The frontage is divided into two segments. The first is measuring 91.1 meters. It's situated between 1223 and 1243 Maple Manor Road. The second segment measures 27.4 meters and lies between 1215 and 1223 Maple Manor Road. The lands are developed by a single detached dwelling on private services, along with several accessory buildings located to the rear of the dwelling. The northern portion of the property lies within the Ranchlands Rural Settlement Area, with the dwelling located inside the settlement area boundary. And the southern portion of the property lies outside of the settlement area and is designated agricultural. From a zoning perspective, the property is split zoned. The northern portion within the Ranchland settlement area is zoned Z2A, rural residential, while the rear portion of the site outside of the settlement area boundary is zoned Z1 agriculture under general zoning bylaw number 68983. Baker Planning Group, on behalf of the owner, has submitted an official plan amendment application for the subject plans. And the purpose of the application is to establish a site-specific policy that would permit the use of an enhanced tertiary wastewater treatment system to support the creation of 2 rural residential lots within the Ranchland settlement area. At present, both the regional and township official plans only permit development relying on alternative individual wastewater treatment systems, where the proposed lot size is also sufficient to accommodate a conventional system. Through this amendment, the applicant is seeking to modify both official plans to allow the creation of new lots serviced by an enhanced tertiary system rather than requiring a conventional system. At this time, consent applications to establish the proposed lots have not been submitted. Should council approve the official plan amendment, the applicant intends to pursue 2 consent applications. To support the OPA application, the applicant has provided conceptual severance sketches, which are shown on the screen and labeled as lands to be severed. The first proposed lot is located between 1215 Maple Manor Road and 1223 Maple Manor Road. It is planned to have an area of approximately 0.33 hectares with a frontage of 27.4 meters and a depth of 121.9 meters. The second proposed lot is immediately east of 1223 Maple Manor Road. It is planned with an area of approximately 0.35 hectares, a frontage of 29 meters, and a depth of 121.9 meters as well. If the official plan amendment is approved, the applicant intends to bring forward consent applications at a later date. A notice of this public meeting was circulated to all property owners within 120 meters of the subject lands, and a notification sign was posted along Maple Manor Road. As of the preparation of this report, no written comments had been received from members of the public, and any comments provided at this evening's meeting or submitted prior to a future decision meeting will be reviewed by staff and addressed through a subsequent recommendation report. Comments received to date from agencies are as follows. The Township's Engineering and Public Works Department advised that entrance permits and grading plans will be required at the time of future consent applications. Other than this, there was no objections to the proposed official plan amendment. The Township Fire Department indicated that they also have no objections or comments on this application. Canada Post advised had advised that any new addresses created through future severances would receive mail delivery to a rural mailbox. They also noted no objections to the official plan amendment. And the Grand River Conservation Authority also confirmed that they have no objections to this application. Similarly, comments have been received from the Region of Waterloo, the Ministry of Transportation, Six Nations of the Grand River, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks, and the Waterloo Catholic District School Board, all of whom identified no objections or comments on the application. RJ Burnside, the Township External Engineering Consultant, has provided preliminary comments, but has not yet completed a full engineering review of the nitrate impact assessment. Staff expect to receive that detailed review shortly. The preliminary comments noted that additional technical information will be required as part of the future resubmission. And Burnside also highlighted some of the common reasons why municipalities often do not allow lot creation based on reliance on enhanced tertiary treatment systems. Specifically, many municipalities remain concerned that ongoing performance, particularly nitrate production, is not consistently monitored and that responsibility for corrective action is unclear if problems arise. While the building code permits these systems, it does not require them at the time of replacement, and some homeowners have abandoned them due to added cost or complexity. And covenants may be registered, but municipalities have little confidence at times that they can be enforced reliably over the long term. So for these reasons, most municipalities prefer to ensure sustainability through adequate lot sizing rather than relying on mechanical treatment systems. With that being said, RJ Burnside continues to conduct a thorough review of the submitted nitrate impact assessment to determine whether, from an engineering standpoint, support could be considered for the proposed use of these systems on the property. Any additional comments received after tonight's meeting will also be reviewed and addressed in a future recommendation report to council. At this time, staff are recommending that no decision be made on the merits of the application this evening. Instead, all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process will be returned to staff for further review as we prepare a future recommendation report on this matter. And the future report will consider all the comments and correspondence that have been received through the consultation process, consistency with matters of provincial interest, including promoting efficient development and land use patterns, ensuring that appropriate location of growth and development within a designated settlement area, protecting natural heritage features and ecological functions, and ensuring safe and appropriate servicing solutions for rural residential development. Servicing considerations as well, including the appropriateness and long-term performance of enhanced tertiary wastewater treatment systems for rural residential development, and the findings of the submitted nitrate impact assessment, including whether further hydrogeological review is required, conformity with the applicable policy framework, including the regional official plan, the township official plan, and consistency with the provincial planning statement, and the potential impacts of the proposed enhanced tertiary system given the lot sizes being proposed, as well as any offsite implications for abutting properties. Thank you very much. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Michael. Carolyn Baker, did you wish to speak?
Good afternoon to the mayor and members of council. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. Just a few brief comments to build on that presentation, certainly detailed overview on the background. I did just want to spend a few brief moments speaking to the proposed enhanced tertiary system for the proposed residential lots. Certainly, as noted, the intent of the official plan amendment is solely restricted to whether these proposed lots have a conventional treatment for on-site private sanitary or an enhanced tertiary system. Certainly, a nitrate impact assessment was prepared. We look forward to working with RJ Burnside, and we're available to meet or discuss any of their review. There is just a few clarification points I want to make to their preliminary comments, as I'm not sure they adequately characterize the position of enhanced tertiary treatment in Ontario at this particular time. So firstly, I do want to note that there are surrounding municipalities that do allow tertiary treatment systems that would not require this official plan amendment. Further, the Ontario Building Code also allows the use of enhanced tertiary treatment systems as a mechanism for private on-site servicing. With respect to the comments about maintenance and how to ensure that these systems, which use technology to deal with nitrates as opposed to passive use to address nitrates, the Ontario Building Code actually requires yearly maintenance for these systems and an agreement for that maintenance. It doesn't rely on staff's time for enforcement to ensure that these systems are maintained. The service provider that provides the tertiary system is required to do that maintenance. If a homeowner fails to prepare that maintenance inspection yearly, they report it to the township. So I just want to be clear that it's not relying on the municipality nor staff time. It's a requirement under the Ontario Building Code. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, there is none of this protection with a conventional bed, or if a conventional bed fails, to ensure that there is maintenance. Also, through the nitrate impact assessment, the hydrogeologist, in their opinion, believes that the enhanced tertiary systems actually provide a net benefit to the natural environment, that the biological processes they use to remove effluent discharge is superior to a conventional bed. And we see this reflected in the permission on the Ontario Building Code. Certainly, this technology has been around since the 1990s. There's been great strides and improvements in the technology, again, where you're seeing it being used more in surrounding municipalities, because they fulfill other objectives of the provincial planning statement, allowing for more efficient use of land. It takes a lot less land area. We can use that land within our settlement areas more wisely than taking up that capacity and space for conventional beds. Certainly, we look forward, as I mentioned, to working with RJ Burnside and being back before council at a later date, but we will work with staff on their comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council or members of the public may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to make any comments? Seeing none, councillors, any questions or comments? Councillor Molyneux.
Madam Mayor, so my question is through the CAO. The discussion about these tertiary systems, I know we talked about it before. Is this something that's allowed in Waterloo region, or do we have to go through the region because they control wastewater?
CO McNeely.
Madam Mayor, through Councillor Roman, no, the region is no longer involved in this matter. Township Council is responsible now to administer the region official plan as of January 1, 2025. Hence why this official plan amendment dealing with both the township official plan and the regional official plan is present. It is a policy document. It was written pre-2015 that has been placed to this very date. And Ms. Baker has identified tertiary treatment systems are fairly common now across rural Ontario. They are something that have been incorporated into the Ontario Building Code. I'm very familiar with the operation of tertiary treatment systems in my former place of employ, and we're a very effective system. And Ms. Baker has identified there is actually a regulatory requirement for licensed designer to undertake those annual inspections and performance measurements and submit on an annual basis to the chief building official the outcomes of that analysis and how they comply with, I'm going to use the word, the benchmarks that were designed for that technology. Failure to undertake it, the licensed operator actually puts themselves in pretty good because they're in non-compliance with the actual system that was been chartered by Ministry of Environment and Conservation Parks. So there's actually more of a regulatory context under this type of system than a traditional class 4 septic system. The question comes and what the analysis is being undertaken through the technical reports that have been developed is, can a tertiary treatment system work on this site given soil conditions, proximity of the groundwater resources, the movement of groundwater, proximity of others in relationship to their well placements. So it's not necessarily the technology that's in question, does the technology work in this location, at this lot size, understanding the realities of the setting being spoken to.
Thank you, Councillor Roman, go ahead.
Just thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to follow up and just to CEO. Is there potential then for us in the township to unlock some development land by using these systems in other areas, residential areas, southern areas, or even maybe in the village of Air? Will we be allowed to go forward with systems like this in a more broad-based use?
CO McNeely.
So, Madam Mayor, through Councillor Roman, yes, the province is actually out in front of the township and the region and the way the current policies are crafted. And we now have the ability, and have had for some years, the ability to craft official plan policies that promote this type or use of technology, so like you this. And you would actually put, tertiary treatment systems would be permitted, and then you put the criteria upon which they would be allowed as of right, subject to affirmation through the appropriate technical studies. As I said, tertiary treatment systems work, but they have to work in the right context and setting, and that would be your assessment when a site-specific proposal comes forward in the future. So you wouldn't necessarily go through the official process that we're doing for this application. It would just be demonstrations, technology works at these locations based on the policies that have been enshrined in your official plan as we go forward.
Council Osmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. But just to be clear, these systems are developed for rural areas. You couldn't do this in the village of Air where we have water and sewer, right?
So Madam Mayor, through you councillor, there are pockets in the township. And specifically, if I look at urban area, they're not practical to service, and yet they're within the settlement boundary. And it could be in a site-specific area, an appropriate means of such servicing. Rather than going in with a pumping station or something equivalent at very large expense. It is most appropriate in an urban area as a first cut. That development be on the basis of municipal water and municipal sanitary sewer system. There could be some isolated pockets, relatively small, where alternative servicing technology might be appropriate.
See, and Council Osmer.
Yeah. But that would not exist where water and sewer are readily available. Like, for example, if somebody put a building lot on Manley Street or somewhere there's a building lot, they would have to hook up to water sewer. They can't use the system.
That's good. Council Roman.
Madam Mayor, but I was referring more to the type of scenario that I see, like places like in Hamburg, where they have the retirement type situation, like, like a Morningside, something like that, where they have their own system. Or the CAO talked with me once about the system they put in Ballantrae that worked really well. So there's certain areas where it might be appropriate that we can't patch to our existing systems. I'm hoping we can unlock some more development, maybe get a retirement type development in Arabic.
Yeah, CEO McNeely and I talked about this when we were talking about planning coming on board and the opportunities it opens for us. CEO McNeely.
Yeah, I just wish to differentiate this. We're talking in this situation of a parcel size tertiary treatment system designed for that single residence that could be created through the lot consent process. Councillor Walden, the scenario you're talking about is communal servicing. Could be the same kind of technology, but obviously on a larger scale and sophistication, because it'd be greater than 10,000 liters per day. It's actually administered through the Ministry of Environment and Conservation plans. Our threshold, that's per the Ontario Building Code, is only 10,000 liters per day or less. But the province, through the provincial planning statement that was published in October 2024, actually has a whole servicing strategy talking about communal services and embracing that as an alternative to allow development on the basis of communal services. Our current official plan, both that region and township official plan, does not contemplate that opportunity, but it is certainly something that would be undertaken and assessed for its appropriateness and or strategy through the new official plan exercise.
Thank you. Seeing no more comments, can I have a motion, please, Councillor Roman? No, Councillor Tilly, this one over here.
Moved by myself, second by Councilor Osmer, the report number PD 62-2025 be received, and that all comments and correspondence received through the consultation process be returned to staff for further consideration in your future report to council on the disposition of this matter.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. So we have now the confirmatory bylaw, please, Councillor Roman.
Moved by myself and by Council Williams that the following bylaws be read a first and second time. Bylaw number 3593-25, being a bylaw to confirm proceedings of council meeting held on September 23rd, 2025.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Didn't we have first reading and you have second reading last night, third reading last night? Councillor Austin, please, third reading of bylaws.
Moved by myself, second by Council Williams, that bylaw number 3593-25 be read a third and final time and be signed and sealed by the mayor and clerk.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you. Council Williams, the adjournment, although Councillor Austin may want to stay. The adjournment, please.
By myself, second by Councilor Roman, that whereas business before this council planning public meeting has been completed at 7:45 PM and be resolved that this meeting adjourned.
All those in favor? Oh, it's unanimous, carried, thank you.